All right, welcome back. Third time's a charm. Yeah, that's right. I've recorded this 3 times, or recorded it once. It was bad. Forgot to record the second time. Talked to an hour and a half to myself. Yeah, that's right. I'm sharing you my misery. All right. I wanted to go through the Conflikt 47 Army list. I'm going to start with the United States because it's the one that's got the most recent kind of changes to it. We're going to go from there. A lot of this is going to be based on my play experience, obviously, and that would also include my local meta. So everybody's kind of shaken out right now. So some of this stuff may be relevant, some of it may not be because your local meta, maybe you guys are trying something different than what we're trying here. Mostly with us, we're playing around 1,500 points. It seems to be the world standard right now. I say world because listening to everybody different podcasts and different YouTube channels, it seems like everybody's playing at that same point value. What is a little different, what I'm noticing, is the amount of bolt action units that are being played within the confines of Conflikt 47. So right now in my local meta, they're starting to make an in a little bit of vision. You're starting to see them a little bit, but they're still mostly everybody playing with their big boy toys, and so we're seeing a lot more of the the Shrek Wolf and all the K-47 specific units. Not so much people crossing over their bolt action, and a lot of the people that I'm playing against are playing Conflikt 47 are actually bolt action players. They just want to play with the new toys, I guess. So without further ado, let's go into the Conflikt 47 here, the army lists. So, what do we got here? There's this. I'm sure you've all read it a million times. And then we're going to get into the part where it says, hey, you can use bolt action units, ask uh, the your opponent, but I haven't heard anybody saying no. I've seen people walk up with a unit or two. Like I said, it's starting to slowly make their way up. Nobody's asking permission. Everybody's just accepting it. I haven't seen anybody trying to use early or mid war. Everybody I know is trying to use late war, which is, specifically, they've been specifically saying that that's the way to go, which is understandable because this is late war. Army rules. So if it's not in the special rule of the unit, they don't get the bolt action rules. So Rangers have lead the way, but the American unit pulled from late war doesn't have modern communications, etc., like that. So what we have here is the Army Special Rules. Everybody should be using this. Arsenal of Democracy. I love this one because I forget it all the time. And I've played several people with my Commonwealth that are playing Americans, and and it's like turn two, they'll start rolling dice, and I'll be like, have you been using Arsenal of Democracy? Everybody forgets this, but you shouldn't. Basically, this rule gives you a reroll on any one shot from a weapon that has multiple shots. So your linebacker with 2 HMGs, it's 24 shots, technically kind of 25 because you're not going to hit all 24. So you get a reroll one, kind of getting you 25. You get Thompson, submachine guns, Brownings. You get a reroll on all of those, just the one, right? The Tesla for the Mark 21, like the M21, they give you the thing, reroll one. So, and that's not like they're saying here, if you've read it, it's every weapon that you're firing in that shooting phase for that unit. If it has multiple, gets to, you don't just pick one weapon and that gets it. It's like every weapon that has it. So Firefly unit, you can put an SMG, you can put an I think LMG, and you get reroll on everything. We can talk about that later. I don't think that's very effective just because of the way my local meta is working, but you understand what I mean. You're getting a reroll. Tough as nails. This is an awesome rule. This basically means any platoon or company commander starts the game with a point of guts for free. Whether you've bought one or not, you can still, so you can, with some of them, start with two. If you can buy a point of guts for them, you have the points. Tesla's gift. When a rift die is drawn for the die bag, roll it, assign it to your unit. If you're assigning it to a unit with a Tesla arc, you can re-roll it. Doesn't matter. And if you are assigning an order die and that unit doesn't have the rift die, you pull it out of the bag and roll it. And then, like it says, if you've got a Tesla Arc, you get to re-roll it, but not if it's like the Fireflies. They don't get to re-roll. Death from above. Basically, this is modern communications from bolt action, but they've just thinned it down so that only units with flight or jump, when they come in from reserve, take the -1 penalty. Cool. Instead of having the entire unit, or the entire force, and anything that you put in reserve, it's actually only the things that are in reserve with jump or flight. Linebackers, Firefly units, Roberta Wells, the new one, Firefly Roberta Wells. Next, another thing, you do the special U.S. platoons. They've only got one so far. This was recently released. It's a Firefly platoon. I think this is an amazing platoon because it plays to the American strength of being kind of like glass cannon, just showing up, hitting hard, and waiting for that counterpunch to knock them off the table. It's really good. You can take a Firefly platoon commander or Roberta Wells as your commander, 2 Firefly squads, and a linebacker jump walker. Those are your mandatory units. Everybody's seen them before. I prefer the platoon commander over Roberta Wells just because you can take Roberta Wells as an optional unit, and it just gives you another guts if you're looking for guts dice. If you don't want the gut dice, you don't want that Firefly platoon commander, you can obviously just switch that like that. Optional units, they're all there. Firefly Artillery Forward Observer, Air Force Forward Observer, Firefly Medic, Firefly Squads, the new Firefly Flamethrower teams, which we'll talk about later, absolutely amazing. Jackal, the Mud Skipper, the linebacker, and as I earlier just said, was Roberta Wells. Now, if you field this platoon, you get special rules. Once per game turn, so if your game lasts 6 turns, that'll be 6 times you can re-roll one of the regroup in hell. So if you're like me and every time you regroup and you absolutely need that 6 or 7, which should be average, and you roll a 3, this could get you out of that trouble. At the start of the game, also before deployment, you can nominate a single platoon from this unit, whether they're Fireflies or Jackals, Mud Skippers, linebackers. They can come in and not be subjected to flak firing from units that they land within 12 of. Now, you still can be ambushed, but you cannot, nobody can just react. If they haven't got an order dice and somebody jumps in, usually they can react. They just pull an order dice by the bag, and if they're within 12 inches, they can fire at you, right? Everybody knows that. This allows that to not happen. Furthermore, if the unit chosen is a Firefly squad, when they land, they can shoot and then they can regroup in hell using the rift die to do that. Remember, when you land in, you automatically start with a active rift die. This allows you to use it to regroup in hell and possibly go from that point blank shooting to around a corner, into terrain, into cover of some sort, so that the counter punch to you hopefully won't be as hard if you didn't remove the unit you needed to remove or you dropped in on, which is absolutely great because it was recently decided that regroup in hell cannot be used the turn you jump in from reserve. Pretty cool. So moving on, we come into Samuel Slammers, or Slammer Samuels. Now, I've heard good things about him. I just can't make him work. Unlike other heroes in the Axis Force, this guy doesn't have bodyguards. Now, he does have 3 guts dice that should save him, but concentrated effort can still remove a single guy. It's not like having 2 guts and like 3 or 4 guys surrounding you. Like Zogling's got up to 8 Totencorp guys can cover him. We'll cover that when I do the German list or the Axis list. But he does come with Rift Mastery. He does come with Luck. These are his stats. These get added to it. So 1 Luck, 1 Rift Mastery, plus another Rift Mastery that gives him 2. What it doesn't say is, as a heroic officer, does he get a 4th Guts? Kind of heard talk either way. So I haven't looked at an FAQ to see that, but it is what it is. He is fast. He is heavy. The nice thing about fast is he's 8'16", so he can get in there. He's got a heavy Tesla rifle, and he's got the Tesla Gauntlet. Tesla Gauntlet gives him the first 2 rounds of combat at a plus D6 pen value, so he can take out walkers. He can take out tanks. He can take out heavy things if he gets it done in the first 2. Now, he needs to be surging to get deadly too, so he's only got the 1 attack. I don't think he gets anything more. No, it's not. Yeah, it's only the D6 to his pen. So you kind of want to make sure that one of these 2 dice is surging so that you've always got the deadly 2 and at least get 2 attacks. This all, like I said, where does it say here? Exhaust 1 Rift dice, and the close quarter sequence is resolved. So actually, when it's resolved would be away. So I guess you could keep it surging. Oh, look at that. You learn something every day. If Samuels uses the Tesla Gauntlet enhancement, exhaust 1 of the Rift dice after that close quarter sequence is resolved. Before another dice is drawn after the 2 rounds. Yeah, okay. So it was like I said. Usually everybody just exhausts it at the time, but you get the 2 rounds of combat with that plus D6. Now, there's nothing saying that when you're into the next, you can't exhaust the other one to get another D6, because it just says in close combat before any dice are rolled, he can use the gauntlet. So if you're stuck in your first 2 combats, pull the next order dice, do the other activation, and you go into round 3 and 4 of your close combat, you lose the D6, but you do have 2 Rift dice, so you can, sacrifice your surging to have 2 more rounds of D6 and you still technically have surging until the second, in this case it would be the 4th round of combat, before you lose your surging bonus, because that's when you exhaust the die. At that point, you're in the 4th round of combat. If you've lost your 3 Guts dice. So chances are you're going to be losing. Now, I think if you want to bring him and you want to throw him at hard targets, walkers, tanks, etc., yes. You're going into Shrekwolfen, they're tearing you apart. They just have way too many attacks. Granted, 1 Guts gets rid of all of them, but by the time you get into the 4th round of combat and you got no Guts left, you've taken out, on a good roll, maybe you've taken out the unit 6 because you got a huge pen. But if there's any left, they're taking you out. Once you're exhausted, you lose your fast special rule, you lose your deadly 2. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't used them. I don't see the value of them. I just don't like. On paper, he looks good. I just can't. The 2 times I've used him, he died once to shooting and once to combat, because I used his Guts to get him into combat to remove shooting. 158 points. It's rough, right? Like, you don't want. That's a big chunk of points. Next up is the new Roberta Wells. She's on a small base, 28 mil. She comes with a heavy Tesla weapon, heavy Tesla rifle, which is an upgrade. She's 135 points, which is a little steep. She does have flight, so 12-18, but remember, if you're using flight to move 12 inches, you're open to anybody within 12 inches of that line. So if you're flying from the S to the H, anybody within 12 inches of this line gets to pull an order dice and shoot at you because you're considered to be in the air. Again, she's just one person. She's only got one guts, so it is dangerous to use, or can be dangerous to use. It depends on how much your opponent wants you. Not using flight, she's only human, so she's 6'12", which is normal. She comes with one guts. Her hero stats give her one guts, one rift mastery, two luck, but she in fact gets 3 rift dice because she gets one for the heavy Tisla and one for the rift mastery and the one that they give her. So that sounds like 3 because they're saying 1, 2, and then they're giving her 1. Okay. She is resourceful, so she always takes an order test at an unmodified value. What else? She's heavy and has flight. Heavy is... Oh, I always forget which one heavy is. Let's just throw her in the platoon here and see what... Did it not say heavy? Oh, I hit Firefly Officer. I clicked the wrong button. Heavy. This is... Oh, yeah, so she can use the heavy Tesla rifle because she can use team weapons, which is the heavy Tesla rifle. And she has flight. She also has the cool ability to shut down Totem Core. Now, she has to have line of sight to him, so you're going to want to make sure she's not too close to him. She can do it within 12 inches, so she can be outside of their charge range. But she can turn those dice off. So if you've got her close to a Totem Court unit and you plan on making that Totem Court unit of zombies your objective for shooting, she can, whenever you want, remove that die and take their D6 recursion away. Now, a lot of guys in my meta are getting a little smart and are starting to throw that Rift Mastery dice on them to have 2 dice, but some of them are putting on Schreckwolfen so that they're always damage value 8. It all depends on what you want to do or what your opponent does, but that is handy. She can also... And this comes in handy. She can also take one of your dice on one of your units and make it active. Do surging. Sorry, that's the... When executing an order, change facing, choose a unit must be in 12 inches line of sight. Using this hammer exhaust. Yeah, that's Rift Research is when she uses it against people. And Rift Science is when she uses it for you. And you can... So she exhausts one of her dice and she brings one of yours back. This can be handy if she's near a linebacker that you want a guts that's only got 1 dice. She can just flip the dice back at her expense with her dice. So she's kind of got to be used in conjunction with guts. She's only got the 1, which I believe goes up to 2 because she's a hero and an officer, so she gets another one. So she can use this for 2 turns to get a linebacker to shoot a second time. It is handy. 135 points. So it can be tough. Can be pricey, but I like her. I think she's good. Roberta Wells, the original. She is 25 mil. She's only 68 points. She can use she's got 1 left rift die. She has fieldcraft. She doesn't have flight. She's only 6'12". Do this in order, Derrick. She's only 6'12". She doesn't have flight. She also doesn't have the bonus damage, which I missed to tell you here. 6+, 5+. Morale value is 10. She's still independent, so she can't take morale bonuses from officers, but she's still resourceful, so she's always taking her morale at 10. 1 guts becomes 2 because she's a hero. Rift Mastery is 2. While it's executing an order, she can change the facing of an enemy rift die, so she doesn't help her friends this time. But in the same token, generally the friends she wants to help are, the ones you're dropping in. So this would be useless, kind of a useless tactic for her to drop in with a linebacker in the back unit and make the linebacker activate twice in one turn. This isn't going to happen with her. She is an infiltrator, so she can get up into the center of the board, maybe help out in that way. She doesn't have a surging bonus, but if she is out of rift dice or they're all exhausted, she does lose her fieldcraft, and she gains lumbering, which moves her from 4 inches to 6 inches and from 12 inches to 8 inches. 68 points. I don't see why pretty much 90% or 80% of the time you don't have one of the two Roberta Wells in your list. Just completely handy to help shut down Totem Core, help remove surging dice off of Puma X's. Those Shrek Wolfen you want to hit are damage value 8 because they got a surging die. Just get rid of it. Although when she's that close to them, she's going to be in a bit of trouble. So moving on. Headquarters team. So your company commanders. I don't see the value of them. I haven't played with them. I just feel like there's so much more fearless and fanatic and ways to not take a lot of pins in this game, like that it's hard to justify taking them. You still can use them like you do in bolt action and snap to more people, but again, you're going to have probably 2 platoon commanders. You're probably going to have one hero, whether it's Slammer or Roberta. So you're going to have, Roberta doesn't do that because she doesn't help. So you're going to have that extended command range, or you're going to have snap 2s available. I just think for the points and the fact that, like I said, there's so much fearless in this game that you're not looking to remove pins. You don't need that extra bonus to making command rolls as much. I think you can get away with just a regular officer, and that's whether it's a company commander, officer in armor, Firefly officer. I just don't see the value in them. So they're all on 25 mil bases. They all get a point of guts for free. They can take a second point of guts for 10 points. I guess if you want to bring more guts onto the table, this is a way, but it feels like it's pretty expensive. They're all 612, except for, of course, the Firefly officer who has flight, so he can be 1218. He's also got regroup in hell. Everybody else is rift dice less. The officer in heavy armor will be a point heavier because he's got the powered armor, but he'll also cost a little bit more. Thematically, I can totally see these guys being taken. If you're taking a bunch of guys in heavy armor, of course your officer is going to be in heavy armor. So you may put a company commander in charge of that force with the armor. So I will never slam on anybody who's got a thematic list that's made to take advantage of that. But here's where the platoon commanders are where you're going to see everybody. So right now we're starting off with regular officer, just Joe Blow. He's 21, 30, or 39, 3, 4, 5 to kill. He's got nothing special. You can give him a point of guts or a point of luck. I think guts is the way to go, especially with the Americans, just because they've got so many units that can hit out there with like HMGs, linebackers shooting again with 2 HMGs, Kodiak shooting again with 4 HMGs. So you're getting like 6 shots or 12 shots or 24 shots, and then you're getting another 6, 12, or 24 in that order of HMG linebacker. If you haven't taken away his 2 HMGs or you put HMGs on them, plus all the extra weapons you'd get on the linebacker and the Kodiak. So I think guts is the way to go. I would go with a regular officer if I was running Kodiaks because they're coming in on the board close to where you want this officer. I would run, I will talk about that one later. Firefly officers, I would run these if I was using a linebacker, and I plan on jumping a linebacker into the back because then you can have 2 guts with the linebacker or close near the linebacker, and you can get the linebacker activating twice in the back lines. All of these guys are, except for the Firefly platoon officer, are all 612. That includes the officer in heavy armor. He's 612. He does get the bonus point of damage value, going to 5 to 6 instead of 4 or 5. He's also a little bit more expensive at 49 or 50 and 49. With the guts that you think you should take all the time, you just might as well add 10 points to any of these values that you're taking, because oops, went too far, that you're taking, because I don't think there should be any point in time you're not buying that point of guts. Thematically, I can see this guy being used if you're using a bunch of guys with heavy armor. Realistically, I don't see the value of paying for 6+ on him. He's the only rule he's got is heavy, so that he can use his his LMG at full fire without a loader. I don't see the point. It's just one guy on 25 mil that's got, instead of shooting 2 shots with an SMG or an assault rifle, he's got more range with 4 shots, but they still need 6s on 6s to kill anything that's advanced, meaning a 7+ Shrek Wolfen, the Ursus, the Mark IIs, anything that's 7+, he can hit them, but those things are all fearless, so he's not putting pins on them, and then he needs to turn the 6 into another 6 to potentially kill, and half those guys have got hard to kill, so they're either in cover saving on 2+s, or they're in the open and they just get a random 5+ save. It's just such slim pickings that I don't think it's worth the extra shots or the extra points to put an officer in heavy armor in your force. Firefly officer, again, if you're running the Firefly platoon, or you're running things that you want to drop in the back, I think this is definitely something you want to take. He's got flight, so he can come in. His morale is going to be +2 because he's an officer. He doesn't suffer the -1 because of the national rules. So he's going to come in, and he's going to come in where you need him to use his point of guts, which makes him a 62 point unit, because he is considered veteran. He is a 5+ to kill. He's got a Thompson, the M1X1/2, which gives him +1 pen, which is good. He does have regroup in hell if you need him to be somewhere else really quickly, take an objective. Maybe the linebackers making a run for somewhere, he can follow him with that second point of guts, because remember, he's got the one for free. If I've got 5 points, I'm definitely throwing an ATRD on him. I'm not making him stubborn, because he's already got +2. So, that you need 3 pins on him. And if he's been shot so many times that he's got 3 pins, chances are he's dead. So I just think that's, if I had, if I was at 1499, yes, I'm going to throw a stubborn on him, but I might throw a stubborn somewhere else if somebody else had it. Medics, I think the Americans are probably the only force I would run medics with, because pretty much everybody has got the only human rule, so medics can actually work with them. The drawback being there is so much +1 pen that they can't save you from, that I think they're even less valuable here than they are in bolt action. Just because if you've been hit with something that's got a +1 pen or above, you can't be saved by the medic. And if you're being hit by something that's like small arms fire, which is the MMG and below, you still need a 6. You still got to be within 6 inches of that unit, and you still need a 6 to save that guy. So, yeah, enough said. 23 points, 30 points. They don't give up their order die for VP, victory points. So, there is that. You can give them guys to make them like a little squad that'll run around. Again, don't see the point. There's why not make a Fort Observer, have 2 guys, and then there's 3 guys that can shoot, because the medic can't shoot. Firefly medic, great. Now I can pay more points and put him in the back. Yeah. Oh, he can regroup in hell and maybe run closer to somebody he needs to save? No, I don't see the point. It's all right. Artillery Fort Observer, I think they're not as valuable in Conflict 47 as they are in Bolt Action. Again, there's so much Fearless and Fanatics on the board that you're literally, normally you're going to hit 6, so you're going to get everybody within 12 inches. Say there's 4 units. In Bolt Action, all 4 of those units are taking pins. Regardless, they're just taking pins. Maybe you get lucky and you get the big template that goes onto a unit and you wipe part of it out, but we're just talking, you're putting pins down. In Conflict 47, you roll a 6 plus the 6 inches that you normally get, 12 inches. You get 4 units again. At least 2 of them are going to be Fearless, so they're not taking pins. Chances are you're not going to roll a 6 on those guys. You'll probably roll a 6 on the meat puppet unit that can be damaged with pins, and they're just going to go down and rally because chances are they're only objective holders. So I don't think these are as useful. Like they can roll the D6, re-roll the D6 to when they're coming on so that they can increase the opportunity of coming on. Like you're not going to roll a 1 or 2, which is like see you next turn or move your pin thing around, or worse, your opponent shifts it back on you. Or sorry, that was the artillery forward observer, and then you got the Firefly one. Okay, same. Like great, now you can drop down in the backfield. Well, okay, so he can't drop down until reserves come in, so that's 1 turn. Now it's on turn 2. He comes down at the very end. Probably take this guy over the other guy, because if he's coming down in turn 2 at the very end, he can't call it in until turn 3. Now you're in the backfield. Maybe your opponent hasn't got anything back there, but you can take the objective holders or random things that he wants to keep in the back. Yeah. For 104 points, no. If you're making a thematic Firefly unit, yes, but no. I think that's way too expensive for what you're getting. All the same Firefly stuff that we talked about with the officer, and I just don't think that saves them. Not for that price. Air Force Forward Observer and Firefly Air Force Observer, again, same point cost, $75.90, $75.90, 104, and 104. I might take this guy if I was to take something, just because if memory serves, you've got a better chance of getting pen templates along that line. But again, 104 points for 1 round of doing something. And then I got to put more points into him to make him 27 points to make another guy with a Thompson MX1. I don't see the point. I can take the officer, give him 2 guys, and have the same mobile 3 guys for much less. And then there's always the chance, there's so much flak nowadays that the planes aren't even going to come in. They're just going to get shot out of the sky and go back. Infantry, Rifle Squad, inexperience is 42, 60, veteran is 78. Just like Bolt Action, they're advanced 6, run 12, inexperienced 3, regular 4, veteran 5. You get 6 guys, 1 NCO, and 5 soldiers. They're on 25 mil base. These guys are just your objective holders. I wouldn't arm them too much more than what they have. Maybe if I had extra points rolled over, I would do something here. And if it was anything, it would first be a flamethrower, because at least gives you pen against something that's coming at you. If something's coming in your backfield chasing these guys down, chances are the game is already slipping away. Maybe the flamethrower will help you because you've got enough of those big Schreckenwolfen out of the way. Maybe there's only 1 or 2 left, and you can get them with a pen 2 hit. Heavy infantry squad. The regular 99, regulars 90, veterans 99. They're 612. They get an extra point because of the powered armor, so they go to 5 and 6 plus. They're heavy, so they can operate their team weapons, which in this case, they come with LMGs. So they get 4 shots each. Again, there's so much stuff out there with damage value 7 that are coming in the front lines that I don't see the value of these guys, because if they're in the front lines, they got to hit those guys, then they got to hit them again, or then they got to wound them on 6s and re-roll those 6s into 6s before they're even making saves. I think if you're going to make a choice between objective holders these guys and objective holders these guys, if you got the extra, 30 points, go with these guys. You get 3 less dudes, but they're a little bit more survivable. They've got a lot more firepower because there's, or do they? 3 LMGs is 12 shots, 6 assault rifle. Oh, you're not putting assault rifles on them. 6 just regular rifles is 6. Yeah, they've got a whole lot more shots. And they can re-roll one of the shots, whereas the rifle platoon can't unless you put assault rifles on them, in which case, why are you putting assault rifles on them? You could be buying a different unit just because of the point cost. Could give them ATRDs. I wouldn't give them anti-tank rifles because they're or anti-tank grenades because they're not. There's not enough tanks on the board or walkers that they're going to do anything. If a walker's hitting these guys, walker gets a hit first. Chances are he's crushing them because there's only 3 of them. Haven't put these on the table. I've seen some battle reports with them on the table, but also in those battle reports, the meta is a little different than my meta, where the other team, the other player has more regular guys that can be shot. So I can see the value of that. Thematically, I think Morty and Glory, I think, has got this the Mormon regiment or the Mormon battalion or something like that. He's got these guys in there. I think it's hilarious for a theme. Awesome. They look cool. Awesome theme. Points wise, min maxing for a tournament, wouldn't do it. Firefly Airborne Squad. I think everybody should be using these. Everybody's probably got them because they come in the starter army, and that's basically the army that they've put out. So you get 6 guys, 1 NCO, 5 Fireflies. These things are 184 points. No mistake about it. You're never putting these guys down on the table without taking a flamethrower. If you're putting anybody in reserve, aside of a linebacker, you're putting these guys in reserve. They're dropping down an inch away from whoever they want to destroy, and they are hitting them with the flamethrower, and you're hoping that you don't have to shoot the MX or the Thompson M1X1. I mean, you're still going to do it, but the flamethrower is the heavy lifter in this. So that's what you're shooting. Would I put ATRDs on him? Not necessarily. Flamethrowers, he's going to do the work on a walker or a tank if you need it. You're hitting from behind, so generally the flamethrower is going to be it's on the top armor from whatever angle you're hitting on, but you're generally going to be on behind anyway. So top armor brings it from +2 to +3 pen. I believe it's top armor's +1, side armor's +1, rear armor's +2. I could be wrong on that. I always get that backwards. Either way, 184 points. You just don't field this without a flamethrower. These guys are they're on 25 mil bases. They have flight, so they're 12-18. They're 6-12 if they don't fly. They're always veterans, so they're 5+ with a 10 morale. They have flight. They're only human, so they can actually be healed by a medic if he's nearby and you manage to roll 6 and you're not being shot by something heavy. They do get 1 rift dice for regroup in hell. This is a cool ability. You step around the corner, you shoot, you expend the die, and you get a 2d6 move. Or you need to get to that objective, you run 18 with your flight, you survive whatever flak shots are happening, roll 2d6, and hopefully that makes up whatever distance you're needing to steal that objective at the end. Most objectives in tournament play are sticky, which generally transposes into friendly games them being sticky, so they can really just kind of get there and take them if they're free, and then or even like run onto them on 18, hold them for the round, and then next turn bugger off, do what they have to do. It's sticky, and hopefully they're going forward, so they whatever has to go through them. They are a bit of a glass cannon, being 5 plus, because everything in Conflict 47 hits harder. 5 plus isn't as great as it used to be, but these are basically a core unit that everybody has, and you're going to see it, especially if you're running the airborne platoon, the Firefly, the new Firefly platoon that they just put out. These guys get the most benefit out of that because they have flight, so they can be not shot at unless somebody's in ambush, and they can use their regroup in hell after they shoot. So they land, they shoot, and they can regroup in hell. Normally, you can't regroup in hell, but if you indicate that these are the guys that have that ability, that's what you get. The Italians are here. I'm not even going to brutify this. I'll just say T. Another airborne squad. They're cheaper, 120. I guess these guys would be good. I've never fielded them. I'm not going to lie. I want to make an Italian force, but it'll probably be Axis because I like the guys with the shields. But they're 25 mil. They only have SMGs. They can't get above SMGs unless you give them a grenade launcher as well. Can't have anti-tank grenades. They come with stubborn for free, whereas the Fireflies, you have to buy it, which I think is a good idea because you're always going to be taking a pin. So now they're 190 points. So they are a big unit, and they are a bit of a glass cannon unit. These guys, on the other hand, I mean, they could be good for holding in reserve till the bitter end, because you get one less guy, too, because you only got 5 guys as opposed to 6. And you're just holding them for the bitter end so they can just drop down on an open objective, maybe. Because I can't see any... Or... you don't want to spend a lot of points, so you have these guys drop in to take all the flak fire, and then you drop your airborne, your Firefly, your U.S. Firefly platoon in, so that they can get more done without being shot up. So, are they good? I don't know. I haven't put them on the table yet. Like I said, if I do put them on the table, I'll probably putting them on the table as Axis, in which case they got a slightly different rule set, but there's more Italian units in the Axis, so you can make a kind of a better Axis list that I've been toying around with, but I'm waiting. Paragon Squad. These are almost auto-include just because they are a guts factory. Even just taking 3 at base 84 and not upgrading any way, shape, or form, every turn they're churning out a guts, and they're just following behind your Kodiak, following behind your linebacker if you don't drop them in. These guys can infiltrate, so you could always drop them in on the side and have these guys run to them. They are superhuman. They're like Captain America. They're Slammer Samuels-esque, meaning that they are 6 plus. They're on 25 mil bases, so they are easier to hide. They're heavy, so they can use the Tesla rifle without having a loader. They're fast, so that means they're 816, unless of course they're exhausted, in which case they lose fast and go back to being human at 612. They have tank hunters, so that means they can avoid the morale to attack a tank or a walker. Surging gives them fearless. Now, if I was to take this as a base unit, I would at least upgrade one guy to a heavily Tesla for 6 points to make them 90, just so that they have 2 dice, so that you can use one for gung ho, and you can fish for a surging and leave it on them to keep them fearless for the rest of the game. So that every turn they're using one for gung ho, and they're keeping the surgeon to keep fearless. Because then, as soon as you get the surging dice, even if they have pins on them, those pins just disappear. They're not kept for later. If you lose it, you lose your surging. Those pins don't come back. They're gone forever. And then the only time you can get pins back is if you lose your surging die and therefore lose your fearless. Now, these guys can fight. You can give them close combat weapons for 2. But the guy you give the heavy Tesla weapon now doesn't have... how does this work now? I can't remember. They have deadly 2 with the combat weapons, and they get +1 close quarters. The SMG, I believe, gives them another one for 3 attacks, which is good, but you've only got 3 guys, so you have to spend, 28 points to get another guy. If you're going to make them a fighting unit like that, I would still take one heavy Tesla. I'd probably add a guy, and I'm probably going to add a flamethrower so that when they get their close combat weapons on the way in, the flamethrower can put some pins out as well, because they can guts their own die back in and attack twice, but they're only 6s, and they're only deadly 2. So, and that becomes 3 with the guy that doesn't have the guys that have the SMG still. The problem with that is everything else in the game that you're fighting on the Axis side that has deadly 2 or 3 are all 7+, and they all have pen 1 or 2 as well. So they're gonna, like, Schreckenwolf can eat through these guys. No pain, no fear. Now, you can give them engineers, which means if somebody's hiding in a building, you can go in and get simultaneous combat. You can give them fanatics, but I don't think that's worth it because you can gain fearless, and that is basically the same thing. You're just basically spending 2 points for a turn or 2 while you fish for a surging dice. But if you're running a Kodiak, you should spend the points to make the Gut Factory with a heavy Tesla rifle to make them 90 points to get 2 dice so that they have fearless, so they're never pinned out, so that they can always use their gung-ho. Because remember, if they're not fearless and they don't pass their order die, it's when issued an order. Yeah, unless you're issuing them a down order, I don't think they can use it if they fail their morale, because then they just get forced down. But I still think it's a better idea to have 2 dice on them anyways, just to have that fearless. It also probably comes in handy with the Schreckwolfen or anybody else when they're running towards them, so you don't have to suffer from horror. But generally, I've seen these guys played 2 ways. I've only used them as a 3-man 90 point or 96 points because I put the combat weapons on them, but I usually have 6 extra points floating around to put the weapons on them. It's not like they're going to kill a lot with only 3 of them. There's just not enough there unless I've stacked the guts dice. But if I've only got 3, it's because I'm spending the guts dice on the walker beside me, so I don't have a whole whack lined up to save me in close combat. Now, if I'm going to make a combat group of these guys where I take 3 more Paragons and add the 28 points and put 2 heavy Tesla weapons in there, and then put the flamethrower in there and put all the combat weapons in there, I'm making guts every turn, and I'm not spending them on anything but this unit so that I can ignore the damage that gets put on them so that they can fight those guys. But that makes them really expensive. That said, I can't wait to see the new models of these because the old metal models are kind of sus, but they're still okay. That's all we have right now. Good unit. Teams, MMG. For the same reason I wouldn't put heavy armor on the board, I wouldn't put an MMG on the board. HMG, hell yeah. 4 guys, so you got basically 4 guys that are inexperienced or regular. I don't think I'd go veteran with them. It says 25 mil base, but I'm pretty sure the HMG itself is on a larger 60 mil base, 50, 60. And then these guys are kind of clustered around them, but they're on 25 mil base, so you can put them on 25 mil bases on those bases. Most people don't, but I think this is a copy and paste from somewhere else. They can rotate, which will give them a -1 to hit, so that because they do have a firing arc, the front 45 off the front of the gun. They can run if you give them run order. They're man packed, so you just pick up and go. Damage value is 3, 4, or 5 based on whether you get inexperienced, regular, or veteran. I would just take regular. I wouldn't take inexperienced because remember, when you take inexperienced, you may be 3+ to kill, and you might not worried about that, but they're also -1 to hit. So they're shooting on 5s every turn instead of 4s. or 6s if they had to rotate instead of 5s. Don't take inexperienced. I like these because they got +1 pen and they're just going to fish for 6s. You get 6 shots, fishing for your hits on 4s or 5s, depending on, and then you're fishing for 6s to kill Schreckwolfen. You're fishing for 5s to kill Totenkorb. Just an easy, cheap unit, 70 points to get 6 shots out there that's doing some work. Any tank teams, bazooka team. Not as valuable in K47 as they are in bolt action. Main reason, walkers, shape charge, half. So pen 5 for a bazooka, but when you're firing at walkers, it's halved. So they're on a 25 mil mace. There's 2 of them. You get one guy that's carrying it, one guy that's a loader. So he's basically superficial damage, or he's a blade of armor. So you can kill one guy. That gives you a +1 to hit when you're shooting because you don't have a loader, because you're doing everything by yourself. I just don't think the value is there with shape charge in this in Konflikt 47, because nobody's really putting a lot of tanks on the board. Like aside of Soviets, the couple of Soviet players that we have are putting tanks on the board, but when you're going out on a regular day or night to have your regular game day, yeah, hell yeah, because you never know who you're playing unless you've arranged the game. And if you've arranged the game with a Soviet player, you know he's bringing tanks, then it's worth it. If you're going to a tournament and you don't know what you're going to play, and maybe there's 12 guys showing up and 1 or 2 are Soviets that will be bringing tanks, I don't think it's worth the points, because everybody else is going to have walkers and maybe a tank. You know, as many people go into buildings a little bit more, so maybe the shape charge is worth it there, because shape charge into building is +2. Could be more worth it, but I don't think so. I don't field them in K47. I love them in bolt action. I run 4 minimum in my bolt action armies, just because they keep people out of buildings and they hit hard. Super bazooka. You got a guy with grade 1 heavy armor, so now for 45 more points, you get 1 more point of armor. So you go from regular 4+ to kill to regular 5+ to kill. Your loader now has an LMG. Great, but he's the loader? Just kidding. He's heavy. So you've got a dude that's just got a random LMG beside you that is taking care of what? If you've got a super bazooka pen 6, you're out hunting big things. LMGs are not big things. Now, if you're using this guy's LMG to get rid of the chaff, you've wasted the points on this guy. You might as well have brought a heavy armored unit with all LMGs. And there's 3 of them for roughly the same points. So this just seems to be not knowing what it wants to do. Now, if it was 2 super bazookas, maybe I would do it, because they're both heavy. They don't need loaders. So why is one rocking an LMG? Totally don't understand this. Is this a super bazooka team? Thematically, I get it. You got the guy that's, going to do the suppressing fire to make sure that bazooka can get that shot off of the tank while shooting the little guys that are running around the tank trying to protect them. But I'd rather see 2 super bazookas here, just like in the heavy armor, heavy infantry squad. Here we go. I would love to see an option here somewhere, like you can replace the super bazooka. Great. Now you got 40 more points for a guy that costs 30 more points to have an extra guy. Doesn't make sense, but okay. Why can't these guys upgrade to an MMG or an HMG? I would be fielding these guys every day with an HMG. Come down to the super bazooka team. This guy can walk on the board, and this can be upgraded to an MMG or an HMG. MMG, maybe not. HMG, hells yes. Please. 6 shots at +1. I'm happy. Super happy. Totally worth it. Now, they have recently, with the new book that's coming out, released a picture of the new Type 2 heavy armor, and it looks like that guy's got an HMG, which is going to bring into question, why would you ever use heavy armor? I don't know what the points are going to be on this, but if he comes standard with an HMG, even less of a reason to run anything with heavy powered armor, barring a thematic unit. For all you guys that are doing crazy stories, I love it. Keep the Facebook page rolling. It is awesome seeing the paint jobs and the themes that people are putting together for units and everything else. Sniper. This is probably the only army that I wouldn't run a sniper on, because this is the only army that actually doesn't get to upgrade their sniper team to an anti-tank rifle. So who are you killing with this guy? You're not plinking random Shrek Wolfen off the table. You might get a random zombie. You hitting officers, maybe, but Stahltruppen, you're not doing anything to them. Yeah, you'll hit them, put a pin on them, but they don't care. They'll just drop their die to automatically pass. Infiltrate onto an objective. I would rather put a forward observer with 3 guys than this, especially a Firefly unit that could drop in with MXs than this. If he could upgrade to an anti-tank gun, I would think about it. The fact that he can't, no, I don't see the point. Light mortar, medium mortar. Light mortar, yes, I can see this in a list. I can also see it in a list at 20 points, which is one less point than most of everybody else gets. The Americans get 3 man for 25 points. Everybody else gets 2 man for 21 points. The Americans can reduce it to 2 man for 5 points, so it actually costs them 20. I think that's hilarious. I think these are great. For 20 points, you get an order die, which is awesome. Like, who wouldn't? I believe the platoon structure allows for 0 to 2 of these, so you're getting 2 order die for 40 points. Just like in bolt action, they're a nice point. Like, they're just a nice, easy order dice, nice and cheap order dice. Bolt action, they're a little bit more effective than they are in K47. And I only say that because there's not as much things with, like, I've been harping on damage values 7, 8, 9, whichever the case may be. That being said, they do have pen, so they can hit those things and hurt them, which is way better. I'd rather one of these than an LMG team, because, yeah, the LMG can fire out a lot of shots, but this needs 6s to hit. And it's going to always need 6s to hit, because everything's so mobile in K47 that you're never going to get it on 5. You're literally buying them for the lucky 6 that you might get once every 2 games, and you're getting an order dice, which you're going to need, and it's going to come in handy at least once a game. You're going to get that order die that you need when you need it, because you've got this lonely 20 point inexperienced unit sitting in the corner on an objective, just waiting to die or waiting for your forces to overrun their forces. Medium mortar, no. Heavy mortar, no. Yeah, if you're going to get them regular veterans so you can get the spotter, because inexperienced can't. But things are so mobile in K47, there's not a lot of units that are sitting still. And for that reason, these automatically cost 10 more points, because you need the spotter, because you're going to want to hide these guys behind something so they're not shot at. So you're going to need the spotter out in the open somewhere so that he can see things to shoot at. That being said, everything's moving. So you're really relying on the last dice of the bag to take the shot at 6, the first dice of the bag to take the shot at 5. Now, what makes the Americans a little bit better than everybody else is that free guts. So you can take the shot at 6, put the dice back in the bag, pull it out immediately, because remember, this is the last dice in the bag, or maybe your opponent's got 1 dice in the bag, but so you got a 50-50 chance. You put that dice back in the bag, you shoot again, needing 5s, and hope you get first dice in the bag at the beginning of the next turn so you can shoot on 4s. For that reason and that reason only, if I was to take a mortar team, it would be a heavy mortar team for 70 points. Just because I want that extra range that on the template to go from 2 inches to 3 inches to grab more things so that I can possibly hit a second unit and do some damage. Guts makes this good, if not amazing. Guts makes this okay. Why would you guts on these? This is for the order. This guts would be great, especially if you can lock something down in a corner or they can't leave because they can't get off the objective. Then you're like 4s in 3 dice in a turn and a bit. You're on 4s. You're going to be on 2s in a second, right? So might even take 2 of these so I could guts both of them, having them in and back with an officer that can go back and forth. It still takes 2 spotters because 1 spotter can only spot for 1 at a time. But maybe take 2. Flamethrower team. I mean, they're 50 points. You can put them in a clown car, a Jeep, run them around. That gives them a transport. I think Jeep is 25 points. They're good. They're flamethrowers. They're always going to be good. Are they the best? Not as good as they are in the clown car in bolt action, but it's a +2 pen weapon. They're going to get around. I would probably just take regular, because whatever they spray, they're going to be within 6 inches, and then shortly thereafter, they're going to die. Firefly flamethrower team. Yes, take this. If you got the points, upgrade, take this. For no other reason than controlled burn. Now, 77 points versus 65 points. Remember, these guys are veterans, so you have to compare the points there. There are 12 more points, and that gets them flight and controlled burn. Now, if you look at, I don't have this squared very well for you. That is the U.S. Airborne Platoon. So if we go back to create a new company, U.S., just call it U.S., not the Firefly, the Assault, add a platoon. Is it Engineer? Nope. Is it? Is it the heavy weapons? Oh, did I look in the wrong spot? I think I looked in the wrong spot. Mortars. Engineer platoon. Oh yeah, I looked in the wrong spot. Firefly flamethrower. You do not need to take the Firefly. You saw that was in a regular U.S. platoon. You do not have to take the Firefly platoon to get Firefly flamethrowers. Now, you can get it in the assault platoon if you take the heavy weapons platoon or the engine. What did I just do? It was the assault platoon, add a platoon, heavy weapons platoon. Yeah, it was the assault, the engineer platoon. If you take the engineer platoon to go with your assault platoon, you can take the Firefly officer, just grab your 2 objective holding rifle units. Now they're going to be more than the normal 60 points because, sorry, this screen is not lined up. Can I move it over a bit? Yeah. So if you take the rifle squad for 66 points, 60 points. Why is it 66? I must have clicked something already. Regular is 60. But you can't see it. Sorry, I don't have this adjusted for this web page. You can take the you're going to have to take the engineers. The engineers is going to cost you 1 extra point, which is, oh, it's already added the engineers. That's why it's 66 points. So your rifle squad is going to cost you 66 points instead of 60. You get 2 objective holders. You put those 2 guys in there. We'll just copy this twice. You go back and you go to flamethrowers 0 to 1, and you can get the Firefly flamethrower team in your force without taking that other force, without taking the assault. Now, the nice thing about that is, let me recenter this. I think it's worth the points, the extra 12 points. You only have 1 rift dice. So you can use regroup in hell if you don't need control burn. But control burn is so amazing. Roll to hit. When a hit is scored with the flamethrower, roll to hit. You miss, regroup in hell and get out of dodge. Live another day. That's assuming you didn't just drop down, in which case you're screwed. Hit. You may use this. Roll the d6 to see how many hits are scored. If you roll a 1 or a 2, then you can re-roll it. At that point, you take D3 pins instead of D1, like the 1 pin you'd normally take, which is fine. We don't mind that because we've just increased our hits from 1 or 2 to possibly 3+, which was better than the 1 or 2, which is always such a letdown when you're rolling your flamethrower, right? So you scored the hit. You may use the enhancement. Okay, I'm using the enhancement. I roll a 6. Okay, so if I rolled a 6, I don't need to re-roll it. Therefore, I don't take D3 pins. Perfect, but I have used it. No additional test is required to see if it runs out of fuel. How many times have you dropped down, rolled a 1 or a 2 for how many units or how many guys you've hit out of it on a D6, and then rolled a 1 or a 2 to go completely out? Oh my God, that's so frustrating. Even though it only happens like once in a blue moon, it seems like it's every other time. This is money, like absolute money. If I'm putting a flamethrower team in, I'm definitely using engineers. Engineer platoon is going to be part of every one of my assaults platoons. It's going to be just an inexperienced officer with guts. 2 66-point rifle platoons. Maybe I'll make them more by throwing flamethrowers in with them to give them a little bit of threat when they're holding those back objectives. And that opens up 0 to 3 of these flamethrowers. And if you're thinking about running a flamethrower team, these are the ones you want, because they also have flight, which means if you put them in reserve, they can come in on the back and shoot people in the back with a flamethrower. They're only 77 points. Correction, 78 points, because you're going to buy the stubborn, so that if you do take the D3 points, you're rolling on a regular morale 10 to activate next turn, and you're fine. How this got through play testing, I have no idea. I think it's because there's only 2 of them, so they're easy to kill with a 5+. But this is an amazing unit. Absolutely amazing. Artillery. Same reason I wouldn't use any real forward observer. I probably wouldn't take artillery. Light howitzer, medium howitzer, or medium artillery, heavy artillery. I mean, maybe I'll take heavy artillery. You're not bombarding. You don't need the spotter because the range is too short. I think it's 36 inches. You can't bombard anything closer than 36 inches. So you're either putting it on your right corner or your left corner if you intend to bombard. So why buy the spotter? You're not going to bombard anything. And anything you do bombard with a heavy artillery, they're moving as soon as they can. Again, you can use the same playbook that you used with the heavy mortar, which is fire, guts, hope for the first turn, and get a 4, in which case devastating, because heavy howitzer is a 4-inch template, I believe. it's big. It's going to hit things. It's going to kill those things when it does hit them. Even Shrek and Wolf in a damage value 7, you're hitting on a 3+ or 4+ pen, going to do work. That's the only way I'd use it. And then you got to put 2 on the same corner, or you got to, maybe you take your inexperienced officer from your engineer platoon and you put your other one on the other side. You buy them both guts, and now you can do it. You still have direct fire, which is obviously optional, but now you got to put it in a place where it can be seen by other things, which means it can take shots back. A lot of points. I think I'd rather go for the heavy artillery or mortar team. You know, even if you took veteran, 88 points, you could get 2 for the same points. You get 2 of these. No, I don't think it's worth it. Light anti-tank gun team. Yeah, sure. Because unlike the medium or the heavy, they can be moved, but it's one shot. What are you shooting with a light anti-tank gun? You can move it 6 inches a turn if you want. Now you're losing shots. It's only 50 points, so it's a good order dice. You can set it in ambush, waiting for people to come around the corner. I think you'd probably be better off with something else in ambush, waiting for people to come around the corner. Maybe a medium anti-tank gun. I don't think the value is worth it for a heavy anti-tank gun. Big bases, you got to find places to keep them hid. These do too come with, they all come with gun shields, so you are going to get your 5-up save off them. Game's too mobile. It's too easy to just stay out of firing lanes with these. If I were to take a big gun like this, I would probably lean towards the artillery. So at least if I don't have direct fire, I've got the ability to drop a shot. Hopefully they're on the right side of the board because I'm on the other side of the board. Yeah, just don't see the point. And this, even less. Unless you're playing a Russian player who's bringing out the big walkers all the time, even then, you know, if you miss, he's just going to wipe you off the board. But it could be worth it. M17 Tesla. I'm trying to remember. Is the M21's the light one. So this one could be worth it. It is Tesla Arc, but it doesn't say how many Tesla Arcs is it. Let's double check. Engineer, heavy weapons, anti-tank team. Nope, you gotta go to an artillery platoon, dipshit. Add a platoon, artillery platoon, add field artillery. M17 Tesla, take a boo. Oh, it's Tesla Arc 3. Okay. So, 125 points. I would definitely take this over any of these. Now, this is pen 5. Medium anti-tank gun, if I recall correctly. If I'm wrong, it doesn't matter. Pretty sure it's right, but this is pen 2. If you land the extra shots, of which you get Tesla Arc 3, so that gives you 4 shots, because Arc adds 1 for each of the 3 to the original 1. Hit with all 4, you're at pen +8. I have a hard time liking Tesla because I have a hard time, like, you just never hit with everything. You just never do. You're always going to roll a 1. As soon as you're adding extra dice, you're always going to roll a 1. It is definitely not on a 25 mil base. Definitely not. It can rotate, so to give it a -1. Now, it is a Tesla weapon, so it's going to be hitting on 3s because it gets +1 to hit. So if it's just sitting there, it's hitting on 3s instead of 4s, which is already a bonus over the other one and probably worth the extra 25 points. Threes, you're probably going to hit two, so you're going to be pen four. So now you're in the range of a light anti-tank gun, in which case you're 55, or sorry, even more. You're 75 points more. And on average, you're going to be comparing to that, but you get 4 shots. So, you got better. The other one's 1 shot, and 1 shot just when you need it. That's when you roll your 1 or your 2 or your 3, because this thing hits on 3s. The other one hits on 4s. So, that +1 on the Tesla, if I was to take a team for these, I would take this. Again, you're starting to add up in points. You only get 1,500 points generally, so you're adding up. Walkers. Here's where we come into the fun stuff. The Pawn Skater. This thing is the coolest one ever. It's got an HMG on its shoulder, so it only gets to fire 3 shots instead of 4. And it's got a hull-mounted MMG, so it fires 3 shots. Or sorry, they both fire 3 shots instead of 6. I don't know where 4 came from. It does have 2 legs. It is open topped. It is recce, so it can recce away. And you can put another HMG on it for 20 points. I don't think it's worth it. This thing's just running around, running over people. That's its job to me. It is amphibious, for how often that comes up. And then you got the next one up from it. This one's been upgunned to a light anti-tank gun, forward facing, and a hull mounted MMG. Still 2 legs, still open topped, loses recce, gets improved HE. So if you decide you want to fire HE, it's 2 inches instead of 1, which is always good. They're both the same, up to 12 to 24. They're both 7+. They're open top, so everything, even looking at them, is going to put a pin on them. They are cheap as chips. You know what I mean? I couldn't see you taking either one of these Veteran, just because the open topped Veteran only saves you from pins when something doesn't have pen value, or doesn't have enough pen value to break your armor. Then you don't take pins. But because it's open topped, you're taking pins regardless. So I don't see the value of Veteran, unless you're making something thematic. These guys have been driving this walker since it was first introduced, and they're veterans, even though they're getting pinned just like a regular guy would. Fun looking. They're great. The Coyote Lightwalker. Now we're moving up to 8+, 105 points. It's got a left arm and a right arm, and 2 legs, so it's way better at taking things down. So I think I would push from here to here. It's got a forward-facing HMG, and it's got a right arm-mounted MMG. So this guy gets 6 shots. This guy gets 3 shots. It is single cruise, so both have to go into the same thing. So you either don't have enough gun with the HMG, or you've got not enough pen with the MMG. So I think this is kind of lost. Doesn't know what it's doing. You can go Veteran with the 8+, and you're not going to get pinned by your opponent's HMGs. Everything else will pin it. I don't think I find 21 points somewhere else to put somewhere else easily enough. Then you go to the Jackal. It's a light walker as well. It's basically the same thing, but it's got jump. They've taken off the forward-facing HMG and given it jump. Same points. This is the one if you're going to take it in your Firefly Assault platoon or your Firefly platoon, you can take this one as just in your platoon. If you're going to take it, I would take it by spending the extra 30 points to make this 135, just to give it some punch. Because when it's dropping in, yeah, the MMG's okay, but that's where you're getting your money's worth. Right there. Infantry flamethrower. United States is all about the flamethrowers. It is single cruise, so everything you're shooting at, everything you're shooting, it does have to shoot at the same thing. It's 2-legged, so it's got the 2 legs for the combat attacks and the right arm, so you can run or walk 12 inches going through a unit, make the attacks, and then shoot at another unit. Unless, of course, you're jumping in, and then in case you land, and that's where you're at. Mud Skipper. Medium walker. So we're getting into the 9+. Jump, two-legged, right and left arm each have mountings of HMG. So you got 6 shots on either side. 2 forward-facing light auto cannons in the chest. 1 forward-facing MMG. These 2 have to fire at the same target. And these 2 can fire at different targets. 1 in the left arc, 1 in the right arc, are both in the front arc. Has jump, so it can also be put in a US Firefly platoon. You can replace the ARM HMG with an ARM-mounted bazooka, not a super bazooka, a bazooka for 5 points. I don't think it's worth it. 6 shots at +1 versus 1 shot at +5 or +3 if you're shooting at walkers. +5, anything you're shooting at is going to be overkill because chances are you're not shooting at a vehicle. And if you are shooting at a vehicle, it's a walker, in which case it goes down to 3. So for 5 points, I guess it's worth it, but I'm using these to clear things. That's 12 shots, plus the autocannons. And I forget about the MMGs all the time. The conical linebacker. This is the one everybody has because it comes in the starter army. Has an M21 light Tesla cannon. I hate this cannon. Yeah, it's rate of fire 1. Yes, if you don't move, you're shooting at a vehicle, you're hitting on 2s because it's 4s, go to 3 for Tesla, go to +1 because it's a anti-tank gun shooting at a vehicle and you haven't moved, so you get another +1. I still manage to roll 1s, and I still don't get enough stacks to get the +1 pen to anything meaningful against anything meaningful that it's going to be going against in the same tier as 9+. Generally, you're going to be going after other walkers, and generally it'll be whatever walker you manage to jump in the back of, in which case upgrade to the flamethrower on the chin. Always seems to do way more damage than the Tesla does. Now, why? Probably because the flamethrower does D3+ pins and forces a morale check, and that even if you don't destroy it, it runs away. Forward-facing hull-mounted twin MMGs. I forget these all the time. They're in the chin. I forget them all the time, and then I started replacing them with the flamethrower. I don't forget them anymore. Would I replace the HMGs with twin light automatic cannons? I've tried it. I'm not 100% on it. Weighted dice with 12 shots out of each arm. Or 12 shots out of the arm, sorry. I'm thinking of the Kodiak there for a second. 12 shots is just better than the light 4 shots. Yeah, the pen's +2 instead of +1, but I'd rather just get a whole whack of +1 shots out. Anything that I need to hit that's +2, I'm going to hope the Tesla does it, or I'm going to hit it with the flamethrower. Well worth the points. Especially when you're adding 10 points more to it. Replace the HMGs with super bazookas. You could pay me 60 points and put that -60, and I still wouldn't do it. Grizzly medium assault walker. I haven't put this thing on the table. Medium anti-tank gun, pintle mounted HMG, left and right arms. Yeah, it's getting in there. It's 9+. I just feel like even with the Tesla cannon with jump, I'm getting more out of this than I get out of this. It is significantly cheaper, but it is also significantly downgunned. So I would rather put 2 light walkers on the field for roughly the same points as putting this in. Does have improved HE, but so does the one light walker. The only difference being a light medium tank gun instead of the other one has a light HE gun. This one's got a medium one. Both are 2-legged. The other ones don't have arms, if I recall correctly, so this will have more fights in combat or close quarters swings. Not worried about it. Bruin. 9 plus, so we're still in the mediums, just like it says. 275, so it's 50 points more than this. But look what else you get. You get the medium anti-tank gun, medium anti-tank gun. You get the pintle-mounted HMG, pintle-mounted HMG. Forward-facing rocket system. So I lose 2 hands, but I get forward-facing rockets. I'd rather take those for 50 points more. Just way better. Let's see if we can bring it up on the screen nicely. Can you get it in this? No, I gotta add armored walker platoon. I should probably just added another platoon so I wouldn't have to do the armored walker. Bruin. Yeah, it's HE3. Can't see it. Sorry about that. So it's HE3, range 24, 1 shot. And it's flak. So you get an HE3 on your flak shot if something's jumping in and you just drop that on a flak shot. Okay. Hitting on 4s within 24 inches. Flak's only 12, obviously, but your range is 24 on it. And it's HE3. For 50 points more, I would take this all the time. But it's hard to take that when you got this. Left and right arms mounting a lot autocannon and twin HMGs. So do the math here. You got a left with 2 HMGs and a right with 2 HMGs. HMGs are 6 shots. You've got 24 shots. Now you put a Paragon squad or an officer behind this thing and guts it. You're getting 48 shots of LMGs out a turn. You are eating up Totenkorf. You are putting a scare on Schreckwolfen and Ursa. Anything standing in front of this is thinking twice unless it's a vehicle. Then you're using a light automatic cannons and the vehicle isn't giving a crap. Oh well, it's not meant to take the vehicles. The US has got other ways to take vehicles. This is there to take swaths of people off the board and give the Axis bodies to repurpose. Yeah, so the brackets is just saying you don't get close attacks with its arms and you don't half the value of its shots because they're arm mounted. So it has 2 legs, so you still get the 2-leg attacks. Vehicles. I'm going to blow through these really quickly because they look cool. Light Tesla cannon, just not worth it. I can't make it work. It's only +1 pen. It doesn't add up fast enough by hitting multiples. You are in a light Stuart tank, but this isn't the one that's wrecky. It is the one that's vulnerable. You can get front armor to make it a 9, but the sides are still going to be -1, so they're all going to be 7s. It's only 104 points. Forward mounted MMG. Again, I don't think MMGs are worth it. I wish you could upgun the MMG, but all you can do is add another one on the pintle, so now you're open topped. Why would you ever fire an open top? You really got to be begging for it. Well, why? I guess that's why. You can only get regular. You can't get veteran. So I guess that's why. It shows when you don't play it, doesn't it? So if it's only regular and it's taking shots, you might as well get the 15 points, but I could find better places to find that 15 points. Do I own this? Yes. Have I put it on the table? Nope. Do I own this? Yes, because it basically is this. I know the rivet counters out there will say, no, it's not. It's completely different. It isn't. This one, okay, you get veteran, you get gyro stabilizers. Okay, so now you're shooting on the same, whether you're moving or stationary. And by that, I mean, if you move, 4s go to 5s, Tesla bring it down to 4s. If you're stationary, 4s go to 3s because you're firing at a vehicle with a tank gun, and then they go to 2s. So, yeah, you're either shooting on 3s with the Tesla or 2 on the Tesla all the time. But again, it's the light Tesla cannon. You got to hit them all to get it all to add up, right? And then, yeah, It's hard, especially when you get the one rift dice, and yeah, you can put it on a guy, and maybe you can re-roll it because it's a Tesla weapon, and maybe you don't get exhausted 2 turns in a row. You can give it Recce for an extra 10 points, probably highly worth it. Reinforced front armor, get it a 9, maybe worth it. If you got 20 points, I could probably find a better place to put 20 points and just say A plus is enough. Maybe take veteran on it, but it's a light tank at 8 plus. I think I could find a better place to spend that points. If I were to put any tank on the board, it would be this. I have this. I have not put it on the board. I would like to see it on the board, but it's hard to pay 250 points for a Tesla cannon and an MMG when for the same 250 points, I can get the rocket launchers and an HMG on the Bruin. Right? Would you downgun it? No. No, because this is one of the limited Tesla cannons that you can get a +2 pen on that'll stack. Right? It's Tesla Arc 3, I believe, if memory serves me correct. So on those 2s, hopefully you'll get 3 and then you make it pen 6, but I would definitely not downgun it because you're always going to get 2 at least, and that'll be +4 to the +5. I don't think it's worth the 40%. Upgun it from Tesla cannon to heavy. Now you're going to 1 shot. I would rather have 4 shots and take the chance of missing than 1 shot. Rolling 1 die, just too much chance of rolling the miss. Whereas if you roll 4 dice, you got a better chance of getting all the hits, or at least some of the hits, and stacking the dice. Then add that to, when are you ever going to need the pen value from a heavy anti-tank gun? You just don't. Would I put a pintle-mounted MMG or HMG on this thing? No, because I'm not popping the top to make it take pins by everything that hits it. Like, no, not going to happen. It's regular, I know, but at least with regulars, they've got to hit it with pen weapons. If it's open-topped, everything fucking pins it. No, not going to happen. Reinforced front armor? Yeah, maybe. 35 points, make it a 10? Probably. It's a good idea. Especially with the amount of shape charges you might see out there, which don't get halved against a tank, so they're hitting you at 5s, and the super bazookas are hitting you at 6s. Stalltrooping, having all those light anti-tank guns available, yeah, I might want the 10 to at least reduce the chance and get them glancing me as opposed to potentially penning me. M17 Tesla emplacement. Yeah, that's the big one. No, it's too much. You put it down, whether it's when you bring it in, you put it down within 6, or if you're just deploying as prepared position, you put it anywhere in your deployment zone. It never moves. It doesn't advance, which means it doesn't change direction. It's immobilized, and it coolest looking thing in the world, but no, too many points for something that's so limited in its arc of fire, its lack of movement, the ability to ignore. Even say you just took we'll do regular just for number's sake. If you take this as regular, you have now left yourself with 1,190 points, right? No, 1,290 points. That's 13, 14, 15. And this can be ignored so easily. How do you justify that pointage? Now, this in a theme list, a couple of them, you're doing a theme where the Japanese are attacking the US. We all know it's coming. So maybe some of those scenarios will have this because they're emplacements along the Japanese Normandy. Yeah, I could totally see that because you're playing a thematic game. Get it. Perfect. But just to bring it to a tournament or anything else, hell no. Tesla Scout Car. Yes, I own it. No, I won't run it because of this. M21. I hate the light Tesla cannon. It just doesn't work. Would I downgun it? No. It's a Scout Car. It's still going to get hit by everything else. It's got Recce. Yeah. Give me a Puma X any day. Any day. I believe they're about the same amount of points, and they just do so much more. The light Tesla cannon, in my mind, is just it's just not worth it. It's only pen 1. I wish it was pen 2 and the heavy was pen 3. Now, is that right? Oh, that's gamey as fuck. Because the other one's going to be hitting plus 12 and it's going to be penning the shit out of everything. It doesn't work. But the pen 1 just makes it so underpowered. I and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just my luck with the dice that is totally screwing me around, but no. Transports and tows. These are anybody who's played bolt action probably knows these. The points are okay. They're going to deliver 12 guys up the field. There's a lot of pen weapons now. These are open top, so things inside are going to be taking pens. You don't have any fearless units because your paragons, even if your paragons are in there, and you can't make their active rift dice surging. Even Roberta Wells can't because they're technically not on the board when they're in the back of the half track. So they're taking pins. Now you can make them surge when they get out and then act, but then you're getting out. Yeah. No. They're fast enough. There's enough fast things that I don't know if you need half track anymore. Studebaker, carrying big platoons, there's nothing really that needs 18 soldiers. Even 12 is pushing it. It's significantly cheaper, so maybe you want it just because you're not putting 18 in it. It can tow those light, medium, and light, medium, and heavy anti-tank. You can't do the super one. Pinto melted LMG for another 10 points. Not worth it. I've just never made transport vehicles work. I always find that I lose them quickly. The last one is not showing up here. Let's see if I can move it. Is the Jeep. Would I use the Jeep? Yes. I would put this on if I needed to get an officer around the board and for whatever reason I didn't have enough points for a Firefly flamethrower team, or I was just shits and giggles decided to take a bazooka team for whatever random reason. Maybe my opponent is playing, let's play 1946 where things are coming out, but they're not as much of them. So we limit ourselves to one walker, but you can take tanks. Maybe I'd take a bazooka then. Back to theme, right? Back to theme. Yeah, we just don't have anything. Transports, I find in this game, the things you want to transport, chances are they're already fast, and they're going to get there by themselves with less things occurring to them. If we had like the new heavy armor that's coming out that I suspect is going to be 7+, put them in here, put them in a half track, yes. Now, they'll probably be large, which I believe is the rule that takes up 2 spaces. Heavy gives you weapons team. Large gives you 2 spaces, and then there's another one that gives you a 2-inch morale or 2-inch coherency. So I could be screwing it up. But would I put them in here then? Yes. Taking up 2 slots. There's 6 of them. You're probably not going to have more than 6 that you'll need with HMGs jumping out of the back of this. Even if you put pins on this because it's open top, they're 7+. They're not taking the pins because they can't be injured by them. So if you can't be injured, you can't make pins. Just like when the stall troopers get in the truck, they don't care. They get out, the truck blows up, they get out, they take D6 small arms fire. Doesn't matter. Small arms fire can't do anything to them unless you manage to roll a 6 followed by a 6, which I have yet to see happen. So yeah, that's my take on the American list as we see it so far. A couple of, for me, auto includes are a couple for me that I'm definitely finding a way to bring in. Like I said, my meta is still really heavy on the toys, all the new toys, and less on the bringing BA bolt action units. So we're still experimenting. I'm probably one of the only ones bringing. Oh no, there's another 2 guys that I've seen starting to bring other units. One of the things that forced me into bringing bolt action units was adding that engineer platoon. So you can tell when I did it because that platoon, the U.S. Firefly platoon, was just recently released. And as soon as I saw that I could get those Firefly flamethrowers by taking an engineer platoon, I was like, okay, now I got an excuse to take 2 rifle teams. If I have points, I will give them flamethrowers. Otherwise, they're just there, inexperienced, just to hold objectives in the back. That's all they're there for. So I don't know. Any comments, criticisms? Drop them in the comments below, and we will. I will try my best to follow them and either answer them there or answer them in a follow-up video. Next one out, I believe, is going to be the British, because I'm filming this on Sunday. I'm hoping to film the next one. I get this up by Tuesday, and I'm hoping to film the next one on the British Thursday or Friday. Probably not, because I got our first battle report is coming out. We're going to be filming that Friday. So I'll probably get it out Sunday. And I want to do it next because I got a little bit of rumor mill happening that there might be some changes. Well, Birdie's coming out, but there might be some changes to the rules. I'm really hoping there's some changes to the rules because I've been playing the Commonwealth a lot lately. And some of the automated carriers, their surging just isn't worth it. And anyways, we'll get all into that. If nothing changes, definitely get into that on the next cast I'm going to make, or the next video I'm going to make on the British. Hopefully coming to you next weekend. With that, I say adieu. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you later.